Welcome back to my channel. Today is another story time. This is my second attempt to talk about this particular topic, and it did make me feel like, okay, is it a sign? Should I not talk about it? Or does it just mean that evil forces are against this and they don't want me to talk about it? But anyway, today's topic, while I'm doing my makeup, is going to be about religion. And no, I'm not trying to convert anybody. Absolutely not. This is just my testimony of what happened and what helped me. I'm actually a little bit nervous about this. Right, so let me just start by saying, again, this video is not to convert anyone. I love and respect every religion. I find them all very interesting, and they're beautiful. I think the whole point of religion is it really helps one person. You know, it helps you to become a better person, to have good morals and values and teach good things to your children or to your neighbors, to your loved ones and stuff. So there are so many beautiful things about religion, any religion, okay? So this is absolutely not that. At the same time, I just hope I'm not going to offend anyone, but I could potentially, I'm a Christian now, so I could potentially be even offending a Christian. So I'm really sorry in advance. This is in no way to be, like I said, disrespectful or to kind of brainwash or influence anyone. Not at all. This is just me sharing my story and just kind of my journey with God. That's ultimately what I mainly want to talk about. So maybe I need to change the word religion to God, okay? This is my journey, my walk with God. Right, so I'm applying concealer. Today I'm going to do something really natural for those who don't want the glam look. So I always start off with, a bit of concealer. So that's kind of what I'm doing. Oh my God, I'm actually really nervous about this. Okay, so let's just start with, I was born and raised Hindu. I don't know if that's a thing. My mum says that. She's just like, you were born a Hindu, but I don't know what that means. But anyway, I was definitely raised one. It's interesting because as a child, I'm a refugee, so are my parents. Growing up, I didn't really grow up around religion, if that makes sense, in the sense that my mum, they didn't have the time. Like we were living in refugee homes. I remember living in a refugee home. I remember, really struggling with the language because we lived in Germany, and school, and my parents trying to get jobs, and they couldn't speak the language. There was so many challenges in our household that we didn't, grow up where my mum taught us Theravadam, which is basically religious songs like Hindu songs and stuff, and they're beautiful. My mum would play them, but she wouldn't make us learn the stuff or sing along or pray every morning or things like that. That wasn't something we unfortunately grew up with, only because my mum just couldn't. It was really difficult for her to do that because she had to go work, or she had a night shift, or that kind of stuff. So anyway, that aside, even as a child, and I remember this so clearly, even at the age of like 5 or 6, I would lie in bed and I would talk to God. It could be in bed, it could be while I'm having a bath, it could be anything. I remember as a child, I would just have a conversation with God, and I knew very clearly, and I felt, it's one of those things where your parents didn't teach you to do that. My mum always taught me to stand in front of the pictures of the Hindu gods that she had, and she would pray in front of them, with her hands close together, and this is where she would do her prayers, or things like that. I don't know if she prayed any other way, but for me, I always felt that I could pray wherever I am, right? Why not? Like, you're having a conversation. So I used to have a conversation with God, and then I turned into a teenager. So this went on for a long time. I was a teenager. I was really interested to learn about religion, so I really looked into it. I read the Bhagavad Gita. I would go to temple. I would try some of the fasts. Like, I really tried them all. But as a child, if you, early teenager, if you do have read my blogs, or if you followed me for a long time, I suffered from depression for a long time. I didn't know what it was. Obviously, as a child, you don't. And so it kind of got to the point where, oh, I forgot to cover up this mark. So I'm using powder today rather than a liquid foundation. So let me just cover up this little pimple spot. Even though I didn't break this pimple spot, I kind of still... Okay, so anyway, let me continue. Can you tell how nervous I am? And can you tell that I'm just like mumbling because I'm trying not to say the wrong thing, and I'm like, oh, my husband actually told me not to do this. He was just like, I don't think you should do story time about this. It is a sensitive topic. So that's why I'm trying to word it in a way where it can be received by everyone, you know, no matter what your background is. You could be somebody who doesn't even believe in God, and that's completely fine. You could be a different age, you could be really young, you could be somebody older who's very set in their ways and who's very religious, and you know, so that's the thing. So I'm trying so hard to like not say something wrong, but anyway, let me continue. So yeah, so I was going through depression and I really struggled. I really struggled, and during that time is when I stopped praying to God. Okay, I stopped talking to God. I would be so angry with God. I would just be like, why? You know, we moved from Germany to the UK. Me and my sister didn't really speak English. I was always at the back of the class. I was bullied. I was bullied in Germany. I was bullied in England in the schools. It was really bad. Like literally, I had no friends in Germany. I had like maybe one friend. And the same thing happened again. It was like this vicious cycle where I'm just like, oh my God, I'm constantly feeling lonely. Nobody likes me. People are, you know, it was just loads of things. It was my appearance. Like I was very hairy, so people would like name me things and call me animals, and people would chuck chewing gum in my hair. Like I like, it was bad. Okay, this was bad. It was really bad. So I would literally just come home crying to myself. Like I didn't have anyone to talk to. My parents were busy working, you know, trying to build this life, and I had no one to speak to. So I would just talk to God. So I used to get angry at God. I used to just be like, why am I going through this? Why are you making me go through this? And why, you know, is this happening to me? And you know, so I went through this stage of like maybe a few years of just hating God and just literally thinking, you know what, this is BS. I'm not gonna pray anymore. I'm just not gonna do it anymore. I've got some stuff at the bottom. Yeah, so anyway, then I was literally, my depression got so bad that I tried to take my life, and I ended up in hospital, and I was kept in hospital because I had to see a therapist. They wouldn't let me obviously go. It was a really tough time for me. It was a really tough time for my parents because they didn't understand why I tried to take my life. You know, in their thinking, it's just like, anyway, I will probably do another story time about depression and what happened and why and all of those things separately, so I'm not going to go into detail. But my journey with God was closely linked to this. That's why I'm afraid, or I'm sorry that I'm mentioning it several times. But by the way, if you're using powder products, everything else has to be powder products. So I'm continuing with powder products. So I'm just going to contour my face. Yeah, so basically, I remember it went on like this. I had therapy, I was on antidepressants, and then this random day, somebody posts this leaflet through our post box, and you know, my parents usually get the letters. I mean, I was 18, I think. I was like, no, I'm lying. I was I'm so sorry. Yeah, I was in my mid-20s actually at this point already. So I had finished uni, you know, still, it was really, yeah, it was just really bad. I was in a very bad relationship when I was in uni. It got so bad that I had to get a restraining order on him. I had to change university. My parents obviously know about this, which is why I'm comfortably talking about this. You know, it was really bad. So I had to leave university, and we had to lie to the whole family that I was basically in another country, because we just didn't want this ex of mine to find out where I was, because I was kind of scared for my life, basically. So anyway, yeah, so can you imagine? So during all these years, by the way, so I'm talking about my teenage years, moving to England, you know, things just getting worse because I was bullied at school, and then I meet this psychotic guy that I'm dating, and then I go into uni and then things just get worse, and then I get the police involved. And so this entire time I'm depressed, okay? I'm going through depression, so I'm going through mental health issues. I am not speaking to God. I'm not praying. I'm like completely anti-religion, anti-God, anti-everything. I'm just obviously in a very bad, lonely place. And only after uni, you won't believe it, I think the trigger point was one of my aunts. And I'm saying one of my aunts because unfortunately my mum lost 2 sisters to cancer. It's something I've never talked about on social media. I just couldn't at the time. It was really difficult. One of those aunts at the time, the first one who had unfortunately passed away, I was very close to her. She was the one that let me move to a university outside of London because my parents were really strict. She was the first person I told when I had a boyfriend. She was, you know, this Perima of mine, was basically the one person I spoke to about everything that I couldn't speak to my parents about at the time. So it really, just thinking about it, it's getting me really emotional. But she was somebody I was really close to. And so her passing away, and she was strong, man. She got through cancer and it came back 10 years later. But she, her passing, I was at the second university at the time. Her passing is what triggered. It was like my absolute lowest of the lowest. I was like, that's it. And that's when, during summer break, I came home. And I had this leaflet that came through the letterbox, and it was an art exhibition. And I thought, oh, I love art. Like, I like going to art exhibitions, and why not? And I'll check this out. And I didn't realize it was at a church. It was like a building that was attached to the church, and they were having this art exhibition. So I thought, okay, fine. So I walked it down there, okay? I mean, I didn't have a car. I was just like, okay, one random Sunday, I was just like, let's go to, you know, to this church. So I walked it. It was like a 15-minute walk or something. So it wasn't like it was far or anything. And then, yeah, I remember I went there and I saw the exhibition. The exhibition was really nice. It was very quiet and stuff. But then I could hear this music and this noise like from the church itself. And I thought, oh, they're clearly having like a Sunday service. And I thought, oh, like, I'm just interested. I'm just going to go and just like look. So I went to the back and sat there. And you won't believe it, I didn't realize it was Easter Sunday. It was literally Easter Sunday. So the reason I'm saying this was my second attempt at doing this video. The first attempt when I tried to do this video was an Easter Monday, like literally a week ago. And my battery died, and it was just so many weird things were happening that day, and I was just like, okay. But then I shared it in my stories, and a lot of you were like, but I want to hear your story. And I was just like, but I also had a few people saying, yeah, don't share. And it's interesting because on my Instagram, you won't believe it, the 2 topics, okay, usually that I get hate for or people have some kind of comment, even if it's positive or whatever, the 2 that get the most kind of conversation on my social media platforms privately is usually religion, and the second one is anything to do with health, like if I'm working out or if I'm sharing my like eating habits or whatever. Those are the 2 things that people always have something to say about. And I had a few followers who I actually have conversations with, and I thought, you know, we're all on the same wavelength, actually be really mean and say to me, like, don't share your story. And I just thought, okay, like, that's really mean, like, and it shocked me. And it's interesting because this has happened to me for so many, you know, I do so many getting ready with me sari videos. If you follow me on Instagram, I have done so since, I mean, I always wear saris. And whenever I wear a bindi, it's reduced now because they've just realized that I'm not going to stop with it. But whenever I wear a bindi, which is like a podde, like a round, colorful thing that you wear matching with your outfits, with your traditional outfits, I get attacked for it. People are like, you're a Christian, you shouldn't be wearing it. And I'm just like, I didn't know that it had something to do with religion. Like, I thought it was tradition. And anyway, we're just gonna have to agree to disagree. Some of you watching this might be like, yeah, you shouldn't be, or some of you might be like, oh, who cares, or some of you might be like, are you serious? I'm sure so many people have different opinions, but for me, I wasn't trying to offend anyone by doing it. It's just, it's really hard for me because I grew up around Hinduism. I grew up in a household, which, by the way, everyone in my family, from my parents, 12 siblings. Okay, my dad has 12 to 14. I mean, a few have passed away now, so I think there's 12 of them now, or 11 siblings. My mum has like 7 to 9 siblings. Again, a few have passed away, and like so many cousins. Nobody's Christian, by the way. Like everyone is Hindu. My husband is Hindu, my husband's family are Hindu, so it's like everyone I'm surrounded with, including most of my friends. I probably can count how many friends I have who are Christian, but everyone else that I know are Hindu. And out of those Hindu, 99% of them practice Hinduism. So because I'm surrounded by that, it's really hard for me to be like, oh, I can't wear a bindi because I'm a Christian, or I can't do this because it's hard, because I grew up around those traditions and I grew up in a household where it's okay and nobody judges me for it. So I am really sorry if it does offend people. I don't mean to do that because I'm trying to be disrespectful. I do it because, again, I grew up around it. I got married in a temple. I had a Hindu wedding, even though I'm a Christian. And for me, it was just, again, I really wanted a Hindu wedding, and I really wanted my whole family and everyone to really enjoy it, and it was important to me. And I'm sure if I turned around and said to my husband or my family that there's no way that I'm having a Hindu wedding, I'm going to do a church wedding, or even if I had said I don't want any religious wedding, I'm pretty sure my whole family would have respected that. Initially it wasn't like that, because anyway, let me just share what happened after. I'm just kind of going in so many different directions, so I'm really sorry that the story time is like so all over the place. You can probably tell that I'm very nervous, and this is a very emotional story as well. Like, I feel like this is hitting home, or this is feeling a lot more raw to me than me sharing my divorce or anything else. Like, this is a lot more sensitive to me, I think, because it's so personal. It's so personal because I really, really tie this in with my mental health. That's why, I think. Anyway, so I went. It was Easter Sunday, and I thought, wow, okay, this is crazy. Like, it's Easter Sunday, and I then started going every Sundays because I really liked it. It was something to do. Obviously, it was summer holidays. I was at home anyway. I had no job. And my parents didn't question where I was going, you know, because it's morning, daytime. They probably thought I was going for a walk. I never really thought about this, really. But anyway, so I started going every Sundays. And then I really struggled because I was like, oh, what are they talking about? Like, what's a Bible? Like, what do you know, so I went to Waterstones, which is a bookstore, a famous bookstore in the UK, and I just went and asked one of the staff, like, I want to buy a Bible, like, which one do I buy? Like, can you help me? And naturally he was just like, do you want the King James version, or do you want the New International Version? And I was like, I didn't even know that there was so many. Anyway, just FYI, like, the New International Version is a lot easier to read and understand if you are a beginner or if you're thinking about it. But so I went with the New International Version. I took it home and I had no idea where to start. Like, I opened it, it was very overwhelming. It had all these chapters, all these different stories, and it said Old Testament, New Testament, and I was a bit like, what is this, and where am I supposed to start, or am I supposed to read this whole thing? And like, you know, it was very overwhelming. Bear in mind, I just got out of uni, and in my head I was kind of like, I just did a dissertation, I cannot be studying this massive book and stuff. But so during that time, surprisingly, and I do really, really believe that sometimes people come into your lives for a reason and then they exit, and there's no fight, or there's no, like, you know, nothing went wrong, but somehow it fizzles out, and I strongly believe in that. So I had this friend at the time who basically she was Afro-Caribbean, and she just kind of was just like, hey, like, you know, we were on the phone one day, and I told her that I'm having this problem where I don't know what to read, and she said a chapter, like she said something to me on the phone, and I was like, wow, this is beautiful, what is it? And she was like, oh, it's Luke chapter 11 verse 33 to 36, and I was like, what is that, and how do I get to that? Anyway, I read it. It had nothing to do with Jesus or religion or anything. It just talked about positivity. It talked about like how, well, I'm not going to recite it, but it is something that I've memorized. I've recited it, and I've had the verse sort of tattooed on me as well. That was the first tattoo. Basically, I was like, oh my god, first visible tattoo. We can do that another time as well. And I know some of you would be like, oh my god, as a Christian, you shouldn't be getting tattoos. I know, please, let's not even get to that. But I've got 11 tattoos, by the way. Yeah, anyway, so where was I? So she told me about this verse. I opened it, I read it, and I thought it was really beautiful. And then, so she just kind of helped me. She kind of like guided me and said, hey, why don't you start with this? And then, you know, work your way through it. So then I realized that the church that I was going to every Sundays, I think I had already been going for like maybe a month. And at this point, my parents realized that I was going, and they didn't mind. My parents have always said to respect every religion. So my mum has gone to church. You know, we've been to so many different prayer houses, and you know, my mum was completely okay with that. The thing my parents just said, you can go, but you can't convert. And I was like, yeah. And so anyway, I went, and they offered Bible studies. So every Thursdays I started going to Bible study because I really wanted help with my you know, with the Bible. By the way, I got chucked out after a little while because I was asking way too many questions, and I think some of the people that were going to the same Bible study didn't really like it. They didn't like me asking so many questions, but it is what it is, doesn't matter. It still helped me, and I had a really good relationship with the pastor, and he loved my questions, and he did say, he was like, you should ask these questions, and you should, he loved that my point of view was about God rather than religion. Isn't that surprising? So he loved that I was constantly talking about my relationship to God and not all the other things about the Bible or rules and regulations and this and that and what you should do and shouldn't do. Like, I think that was always the challenge that I had generally with religion, because I'm just like, oh, but why can't I do this? And, or, you know, with any religion, I think I was always that weirdo that would ask a million questions when people would naturally shut you up and say, that's how it is. That's what's written in there. So you should, you know. Anyway, so, but it was okay. It really helped me study the Bible. So I did. I studied the Bible in 3 months. My Bible looks like crazy. Like, it's got marks, it's got little post-its and notes, and it's all color coordinated, and oh, it's beautiful. Like, it's so nice so that whenever I feel like something, I can kind of go back to it. Bearing in mind, I haven't opened my Bible, I think, in like, I'm trying to think, maybe even a decade. I don't even know. It has been a really long time, unfortunately, and I haven't been to a church in a really long time as well. But that's anyway, that's not the point of this. The point of this is that, so when I obviously went, started going to Bible study, studied the Bible, and I was really interested, and I started going a lot to church, and it really helped me get me out of that kind of, you know, obviously medication and therapy is what helped me the most, but I felt like God led me in that path, in that direction, and that's something I firmly believe in. And so I think it really, really helped that I did. And then after about a year maybe of going to church and, you know, doing Bible study or whatever, I decided I wanted to convert, and hell broke loose in my house, as you can possibly imagine. And you know what? At the time, my sister, my cousins, even my own friends, nobody agreed. You know, whoever I had in my life at the time were just like, are you serious? Like, why would you do that? And they just didn't understand. And so yeah, so like, whoever wanted to come to my testimonial, funnily enough, was stuck in traffic and didn't make it. So they weren't there. So in the end, I was on my own. Yeah, I got baptized, and I came home, and one of the reasons my parents were actually really, really upset with me is because I think they thought that I was going to go around converting people. And I think that was their thinking, that when you decide to convert, it means somebody influenced you to convert, which then means you're going to go and influence others to convert. I don't think they understood the concept that I converted because I felt like a hypocrite, like practicing a religion, but that I'm meant to be another religion. For me, it didn't sit well with me. I wanted to do things properly, and I said to my dad, like, honestly, this is for me, and it's such a personal journey for me, and it's such a personal thing for me, and it doesn't have to be something that I have to talk about in this household. I'm not going to be like, oh, you shouldn't do this because, you know, Jesus said so, or you shouldn't do this. Like, that wasn't going to be me. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that, but that wasn't going to be me. I wasn't going to do that in my household. And I think after a little while, when my parents realized that I was being nicer, you know, bitterness and, you know, all of that can really change you as a person. So if you've been depressed as long as I have, I was a very different person. And a lot of my friends who've grown up with me since high school, or college, they all agree with me that the person I am today is very different to the person I was, you know, 15, 20 years ago. And so my parents saw over time that I was, you know, being kinder, I was being nicer, and that really was what then made them realize, okay, you know what, she really did do this for her. This was important to her, and that was, you know, her thing. And yeah, so I converted. I was still going to, so one of the reasons I don't go to church anymore now is mainly because of work. I have weddings on Sundays. I know I could, if I really wanted to, go to the evening service. A lot of the times I have receptions on the same day. So it's been, like, basically I wasn't able to be very consistent with church. So I kind of, you know, I tried to look for certain churches. I mean, bear in mind, I've moved around a lot as well. Like from, you know, I went to the church in Harrow, then my family moved to Pinner. I lived in East London for a little while, then moved back to Pinner. Then I was at uni. I was at 2 different unis, then moved back to Pinner. And then I got married, my previous marriage, lived in Rickmansworth, came back to Pinner. Then from Pinner, interestingly enough, my ex-husband was Christian, so we did go to a few hill churches. I'm sorry, I don't remember now. I've been to different types of churches. I've been to Pentecostal churches as well. Like, you know, I've been to a few different ones, and then moved to Malaysia. And interestingly enough, our neighbors, our Chinese neighbors, were going to a particular church. They asked us if we wanted to come to that church. I didn't get a chance, but so that it was really hard to be consistent because I moved around a lot. I was in different places. And now that I'm in Essex, I live in Essex now, so it's kind of just like, but anyway, I'm pretty sure a lot of you are probably gonna message me privately to tell me which church to go to. I already know it. There's nothing wrong. I'm not gonna be offended, or I'm not gonna not like it or something. I'm just saying it's okay. You guys can say what you like to me about religion if you like, and what you think I should do, what you think I shouldn't do. It's okay. I think as somebody on social media, we have to be open to it, and people are going to criticize or say something, or, you know, give you advice, or be concerned and give you good advice that sometimes actually does help me and stuff. So I'm open to it. It's okay. I don't mind. But please just try and be respectful to everyone else as well. Like, I do have followers who are obviously different religions, have different stories, and different journeys with God as well. So I don't want any of the comments, by the way, to be, you know, anything but, like, I want it to be respectful, please. But yeah. So anyway, after, like, church and everything, and, you know, or not going to church and stuff like that, till today, I still talk to God. And that's really important to me. Till today, anything that I do in life, good, bad, anything, you know, I speak to God. I still have that conversation with God, no matter where I am. And I love my long drives early morning to my bridal jobs, because those are the mornings where I basically switch off my music and I have a conversation with God. And growing up, I used to always have conversations with God, in the sense that I used to, like, well, I started off having conversations with God, and then when I was a teenager, I would always ask something of God. I would always be like, oh, can I have this? Or, you know, can I have that? And it would always be asking. If I didn't get something, I'd be angry. I think we do that even with our parents, right, as teenagers. But then now I'm at that stage where I'm constantly thanking God. My conversations are being thankful to God. And if something really bad happens in my life, you know, which still does, and that's normal, I again pray to God, asking him, you know, like, to give me the strength to get through it, because I know there must be a reason why this is happening, and I believe in that solely. And sometimes I feel like if something really bad is happening that I didn't think, I always think that there must be a lesson. God is trying to teach me something. So there are so many things, not even so many things, everything that I do, I related to God, and for me that was really, really important, and that really helps me. Like it psychologically helps me. It helps me in so many ways to stay grounded, to be fearful, to have that respect, and to have the morals, the values, and I love that my parents have it, even though, you know, we're not the same religion, but it doesn't matter. Like, we're all in the same household with the same morals and trying to be good people and things like that. And I think for my mum, it's helped her with, you know, her religion. It's helped me with my religion. And there are so many things that, you know, we all practice together that has nothing to do with religion, but it has to do with the fact that, you know, we love God, and that's I think what matters the most anyway. So yeah, so I've not suffered from depression in the sense as in I've not been on medication since 2013. So that's been 11 years of no medication. Of course, I've hit low points, and I have gone through more than depression. I would say right now it's probably, I sometimes get anxiety, or I haven't suffered any panic attacks in a little while. I will do another video on something that's happened to me a few years ago that I didn't think I would come out of mentally, and that's another story as well. But yeah, so that, but then I'm able to control it. I'm able to control my anxiety attacks or my panic attacks. I'm able to control that, and I know that if things were gonna get really bad for me, I know that there is help. I've got a good support system. I've got God. I've got therapists. I've got so many things that people and things that can help me, and I've learned that over the years and stuff. So anyway, I don't even know if there was a beginning and an end to the story. I'm really sorry. This story time is just so all over the place. But let me just say that if you are somebody who doesn't believe in God, that's okay. There are so many things out there that can help you, you know, if you feel a little bit lost, or if you feel a bit down, or if you feel like, you know, things are not going well in your life. But if you do believe in God, and whatever religion you're from, okay, so let's say if you're not Christian, any other religion, that's fine. And I think ultimately, I really hope that this video was kind of inspiring in some way, and that sometimes, you know, religion can get you out of so many things, right? Like if you're going through a hard time or something. And if you are a Christian, I would appreciate, I mean, not even Christians, I think anyone, I would appreciate that you let people practice their religion the way they want to practice it, because ultimately, as long as the person is good or is trying to be good and they want to be better, and they're finding that through little bits about religion, that should be okay. And we shouldn't tell somebody what to do or not to do in the name of religion. Because sometimes by doing that, by telling somebody something to do in the name of religion, is when the person does the exact opposite, because they're so annoyed and they get so defensive. They're just like, oh, because you said that, I'm gonna, you know, and that's kind of the opposite of what you want, really, isn't it? Like if you want to help somebody through religion, then it shouldn't be in a preachy, telling off, angry kind of way. It should be very understanding, and should be very respectful of the person and their environment. Like even now, I feel like, you know, I'm when it comes to religion, I'm a little bit lost. I admit that, and I have a very good friend at the moment who I have very open conversations about this with, who kind of makes me aware of a lot of stuff, and that helps. But at the same time, what's important to me is my relationship with God, and what's important to me is that I'm kind or nice or treat people well, and you know, and I don't do bad things in the name of something, or you know what I mean, like you want to do good things, and I think that's what's really, really important. So I really hope that more than, well, this video wasn't meant to be really inspiring. It doesn't have to be. It can just be my story of how and what, and I know that I was very vague about a lot of stuff, but I hope you can understand and respect that I was trying to be very respectful towards people, and that I'm also indirectly trying to say, like, stop attacking me about stuff to do with religion, or telling me I shouldn't be doing this or I shouldn't be doing that. So, but I feel okay with this video. I feel like it's okay. I know I'm gonna get some kind of criticism or feedback, or some people are not going to agree with something, or you never know, some people might not even want to watch this video because they think I'm trying to convert people, or people watch it and then unfollow me because they don't like what I've said. I don't know, and it's fine. This is my story, and I hope you like this makeup. It's just concealer, powder. I just curled my lashes, didn't even use any mascara, focused on my brows. I always think when you have dark brows and the red lips but nothing in between, it just balances out quite nicely. I'm having a day out with my godchild, so yeah, like, this is going to be my look. Obviously I'm gonna get out of my pajamas, but I hope you enjoyed this video, and it's okay if you didn't. It is a sensitive topic, like I said, but I actually enjoyed talking about it. Now I feel really good. Like, I feel like, oh, but yeah, again, sorry for being all over the place. Anyway, I hope you find whatever that is that you were looking for in this video. If it was, you know, religion, if it was God, or if it was a way of, like, you know, finding something positive, I hope it did. It helped me. My journey with God was this, and I'm proud of who I am and who I've become, and I pray for that for you too.